Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Thursday. I hope it finds you well out there as we're one more day away from Friday, the best day of the week. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And man, what a turn of events late yesterday. After the gold and silver markets closed, we got the Fed minutes. So this was from the meeting 2 weeks ago, where Jay Powell, if you remember, gave one of the longest press conferences I had seen. So long, in fact, I had to turn it off. I couldn't listen to it anymore. And they were, remember, this was the meeting where he said, I don't see stag and I don't see inflation, right? I don't see any of it. I don't see stagflation and I don't see inflation. We just need a couple of more months of data. Everything's going to be great. Well, apparently, now who do you believe? Do you believe that? Because the minutes had a different story to it. They said that various participants, so got to remember now, you got all the Fed governors, right? You got Jay Powell, you got the vice chair, right? You got all these people, and you know, they put dots on plots and all that stuff. Various participants. Now, they don't tell us who the various participants are, because you got to remember now, only 9 of the, I think it's 16 total, get to have a vote. Only 9 of the 16 get to have a vote when they vote whether to raise rates, keep rates the same, lower them, and it kind of rotates, right? You know, some Fed governors, hey, this year I'm not a voting member, but I am next year. Various participants mentioned a willingness to tighten policy further should risk to inflation materialize. Now, that was, you know, was that saying a lot? I don't know. Obviously, right, because if inflation's going to get worse, yeah, I guess you're going to have to say that. But again, I think this led some people to believe, okay, wait a minute, are you not really being honest about inflation, which we know they're not. I mean, duh, right? This sent gold down, silver down, and they were already down to begin with. This sent Wall Street down. Matter of fact, all of it is down again this morning. A number of participants, so always with the wordsmithing, right? First, it's various participants saying that, hey, if inflation, you know, risk it worse, then, you know, we'll talk about raising rates. Then a number of participants noted uncertainty regarding the degree of restrictiveness of current financial conditions and the associated risk that such conditions were insufficiently restrictive on aggregate demand and inflation. So, again, highlighting that, hey, maybe we didn't conquer inflation. The exact opposite of what Jay Powell had said in the live press conference 2 weeks ago. Although monetary policy was seen as restrictive, many, so let's see, we had various, a number, now we've got many participants commented on their uncertainty about the degree of restrictiveness. So these are much different. This is a much different headline than what we were led to believe 2 weeks ago. It appears that possibly Jay Powell doesn't have the confidence of the members that make up the Federal Reserve. I don't know. Because remember, he was very confident about not seeing stagflation, not seeing inflation, not seeing any of these things. And of course, the big thing, quantitative tightening. Now remember, they were selling $60 billion of treasuries a month. Starting next week, starting June 1st. That goes all the way down to 25,000. Of course, remember, we've been telling you about June to begin with. This avalanche of debt is becoming a huge problem. Almost all participants supported the decision to slow the pace of quantitative tightening. So not quite unanimous, but pretty close. Sounds like they all agree, hey, yeah, we've got a huge debt problem. So I think that one, not surprising there. Participants also commented, man, this was quite the release of minutes that was starkly different on the vulnerabilities to the financial system that they assessed warranted it monitoring. I hope it warrants monitoring. I hope that's what they're doing, because if they're not, right, that's going to be a huge problem, right? Isn't that what they're supposed to be doing, monitoring how vulnerable the financial system is? I think that's just a nod, and this is something Jay Powell had said, right? We are going to see more bank closures. There's nothing really that can be done in that regard. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. A really hard notes that we saw from the Fed from the meeting 2 weeks ago. Well, there were some things similar, right? The quantitative tightening, the huge drop in quantitative tightening. Again, there's just too much debt. So there was pretty much universal agreement. I'm sure there's probably one guy, I want to keep getting that balance sheet down, right? I can understand that, but really, that's almost like a loosening of policy, you know. That's kind of, unfortunately, that's what it is. I mean, if we're being truthful about it. The other thing that was the same, bank failures. Hey, the financial system, we got problems. We want to keep it quiet, though, right? They don't want to make a big deal. They don't want anyone to freak out, right? But get ready, because that's coming. It's coming. There's nothing that you can do. There's too much bad debt out there. That's just what it is. So that was the same. The big difference, though, was inflation, because remember all the headlines? I don't see flag. I don't see station. I don't see anything, was Jay Powell at the press conference. Apparently, there's a lot to see. And again, this is why we keep talking about the need to be more diversified. You have to be. Be more diversified than the dot-com bubble. Be more diversified than the financial bubble, which, by the way, we're still in the financial bubble. It's just, they just papered over it, right? They went Big Daddy. You ever see the movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, right? And his buddy, this kid shows up at the door. He wets the bed. What does he do? Just put some newspaper over it. He spills the milk. What does he do? Let me put some newspaper over it. The kid throws up on the floor. Let me put some newspaper over it. Let's just cover it up so we can't see it. Pretend like it's not there. Oh, it's there. By the way, right now, the Dow's down almost 300 more points today. 30, still 39,000, about 39,300 and change. The S&P's flat. The Nasdaq's up. We'll talk about NVIDIA in a minute. This really scared the living daylights out of me, because they're going to tell you AI this, AI that. There's something very wrong with it. Now, we'll get to that in a minute. The 10-year note. Look at this, all the way back to 4.5. Here we go. Right? Remember, what were we last week? 4.3? Bonds aren't supposed to move like this, but here they are, right? Here they go. Crude oil's down at $77. Gold down. Now, places will have different prices. Got to remember, because this came out after the markets were closed in electronic trade. But I would tell you, gold's down $48. $23.45. It's really, I love that spot. That's a nice, healthy pullback. Kind of varies the same. Remember when gold broke above 23? Pulled back like $100, right? Pulled back like $100 and then charged again. Well, gold went to 24.50, right? It's pulled back about $100 here. I like it. Silver, silver is setting up here. Now, we didn't hold 30. We wanted to hold 31. We had closed above it yesterday. I'm going to tell you silver's down $1 at $30.30. $30.30. And holding above 30 is going to be key. Remember what TD and UBS were saying? Hey, the last time silver closed above 30 and stayed there, in 10 weeks it was 50. Get ready. By the way, the biggest silver sale maybe we've had all year. Probably, you know what I'm going to say? Biggest silver sale we had all year coming up next. But be diversified here. Be more diversified. If you've got $50,000 or more, maybe you got a lot of money in that IRA. Maybe you got, I got $1 million in it. I got $500,000 in it. Take a piece of that. Check out our friends over at YRefi. Give them a call. Say, hey, how do I get 10.25% fixed rate of return, not correlated to Wall Street? Right? You can turn your income on. You can turn it off. There's no fees. They don't play games. If you needed your money back for whatever reason, they don't attack your principal or anything. They don't do any of that stuff. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them at 888-YRefi-24. Now, some interesting things, Jason, have been coming out after these minutes. More people starting to go out on TV and openly questioning if the Fed really has any idea of what's really going on. Right? I mean, it's crazy. Jamie Dimon again this morning. We had Julian Howard was on the other day saying it appears that the Fed has no idea what's happening when it comes to inflation. I mean, these are things that when you have investors and billionaires openly questioning, it really is something where either they have a perfect idea and they don't care, or, right, we've got the wrong people running this thing.
Yeah, Joe, I was talking to somebody this morning about some of this stuff that, is it Jamie Dimon? What did he say? Fed to go to 8%? Didn't he say that? Yeah, didn't he say that some time ago?
Listen, Jamie Dimon was out again today and was once again not very kind to what he thinks is coming. It's, talking about hard landings, talking about stagflation, right? What Jay Powell said he didn't see.
And here it is, isn't it? Here it is right in front of us. And if the Fed, was it December? Was it just what was that? That's not even 5 months ago, talking about multiple rate reductions, and all this stuff. And now, suddenly the verbiage of rate hiking is back it's back in their mouth again, right, Joe? They're speaking rate hike. Whether they do it or not, we don't know, right, Joe? We don't know what exactly is going to happen, but. Yeah, I can see where the markets are getting a little shaky and worried because the Fed usually is not usually for the most part. Well, they move slowly in a certain direction, and they've been since COVID. They've pretty much done everything they said they were going to do. This is the first time in a while where they're not really saying what they're saying. They're not doing what they're saying now. Now it's you can see confusion, right, Joe? Or either that, or you're just seeing. Confusion to the masses because they, like you said, do they know what they're doing or do they now, are they walking the tightrope and maybe they're leaning a little too far to the left or right, almost falling off that thing, right? How many years they're walking the tightrope, right?
There is no good choice. I'm not buying the minutes. How's that? I think that was just made for TV because they know that inflation isn't going away. They know they've got the problems, but publicly, look at all the Fed. We had Collins out, the Boston Fed. We had Waller out. Both of them are voting members, and they're sitting there saying, hey, we're doing okay. We just need more data. Right? We need more data, a couple more good months of inflation data so we can start cutting. But then you get comments like this. I think that the message is coming through is that the Fed has no idea of what is going on, and they have a credibility problem. Inflation is notoriously difficult to predict, and I don't think they have any idea of what's happening. To be honest, that's a credibility problem for the Federal Reserve. And Jason, it's really now, it's just one guy after the next saying you blew it. Think about it. Why would they have gotten it right? Remember when inflation was starting to take off and they went a whole year? Jay Powell and Janet Yellen, they were out on TV. They were at any time they could get their face on the television telling you inflation was transitory. Jason and I were like, no, it's not. That's not true, because we could see what was going on. It wasn't transitory at all, was it? Then they got to that 5.25%, whatever it was, almost a year ago now, 11 months ago. Oh, we've done it. We've done such a great job. And now everybody out there that actually, follows real pricing, not the fake inflation, the real inflation, is saying, what are you guys talking about? You have no idea. Now you got people openly questioning what is going on. Jamie Dimon talking about a hard landing, saying that the prospects of a hard landing, could we actually see one? Of course. How could anyone who reads history say there's no chance, right? And of course, what does he know? He knows what I know. The Fed has never engineered a soft landing. It's never happened. Why would it happen now? Right? What would be the big miracle that it would happen now? It's never happened. And it's not going to happen. Right? And I loved it. I loved his comment about, hey, have you guys read any history at all? Have you looked at all? Have they ever pulled it off? Because if they had, then maybe, you know what, maybe I could say, oh, okay. Okay. You guys have done it. Look I can point. In 1990 this, or 1990 that, or 1990 this, you guys raised rates, and we had a soft landing. If you could do that, okay, then you could say that. But Jamie Dimon knows what we know. Jason, they've never done that. It's never happened.
Yeah, it seems like when it crashes, right? Doesn't it? There doesn't seem to be a soft crash, right? I don't think that's a term they've used yet. So it'll be interesting, Joe, because I fully believe they want to inflate their way out of this, and so raising rates doesn't really fit that narrative. So maybe it's just maybe listen. There's a lot of big guys with big pockets that aren't the Fed. And if a few of them are starting to get wise to it, maybe this tough talk is something to push back the skeptics that the Fed is not doing their job. So maybe this is all bluster, because it's like, hey, we're going to raise these rates. This looks, but maybe when it comes down to it, they have to, right?
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that's tough talk. I think that's exactly what it was. Talk. They're not really going to do it, but they had to say it right now. Jay Powell didn't say it in the press conference. Matter of fact, he said the exact opposite. But this way, they can say, well, we're still pretending to fight inflation, because that's all it really is. Jamie Dimon wasn't done, though. He said, a hard landing's not the worst case. What? It's not? Thought it was. Oh, no. The worst case for the economy is stagflation. And he said inflation continuing to rise as growth slows, and then he threw the curveball, and high unemployment. And so I agree. So maybe a hard landing wouldn't be that bad, right? A hard landing, hey, we're going to get The economy's going to slow. People are going to get fired, but inflation comes down, right? That's kind of me, right? That's what I say. I know when inflation's going to come down, right? When millions of people get fired. Jamie Dimon said, hey, guys, that's not the worst one. The worst one is stagflation, where prices continue to go up even though the economy's in recession, even though the unemployment rate is skyrocketing. I look at a range of outcomes. And again, the worst outcome for all of us is what we would call stagflation, higher rates, recession, corporate profits tumbling. The world has survived it before, but the odds are higher than other people think. There you have it. 800-951-0592. I'm going to give that number again. 800-951-0592. We've been doing this a really long time, and you never know what is going to walk through the door next. We don't know what the next call is going to be. We don't know what the next email is going to be. You just don't know. Today, I've got 4,000 ounces. It's like 8 cases of Canadian maple leafs. 1 ounce Canadian maple leafs. We're going to be running them so far below cost. It's going to be incredible. Right now, silver starting to mount a comeback here. Now up to 30.50. 30.50 right now. Down about 80 cents here, but still well above 30, which is what we want to see. 1 ounce maple leaf. If I'm buying from the wholesalers, they're going to cost me almost $32.50. That'd be my cost, because they're cheaper than Silver Eagles, right? I'm going to run them a roll at a time, so 20 ounces at a time, at $630. That's almost $1 below cost. That would be $31.50 an ounce. Matter of fact, if you go back to yesterday, right? I mean, go back 2 days ago, that's like $1 below where it was 2 days ago. If you buy 25 rolls or more, save another $5 at $625. That would be $31.25. Just to give you an idea of like a silver round, which is one of the cheaper ways to buy silver. It's like $700. So you're going to get Canadian government hallmark silver, right? So that's always, government hallmark's always better, always carries those premiums. But Jason, it's incredible how close to spot we're going to be today on Canadian Silver Eagles. So 1 through 24 rolls, $630 a roll. It's almost $1 below cost. If you buy 25 rolls or more, almost $1.25 below cost, and literally almost a spot here. 31. When you think about $31.50, and we got spot at almost $30.50, right? So about $1, within $1 here. And if you buy 25 rolls or more, you're like within 75 cents of spot. That's just great value, and we love it. And we got a lot of them. We got 4,000 ounces, so we got what is that? 200 rolls of maple leafs available today at 800-951-0592. 0592. These will be live in our Colorado office today. Any of you outside of Colorado, if we're going to ship, we can get them shipped out very, very quickly, obviously. Those of you that want to pick up here in Phoenix, we'll have them here next week. So 800-951-0592. But, Jason, this is one of those deals where every once in a while, when we throw out below cost, that's just outright buying, and to be this far below cost, it's just great value for everybody.
Yeah, and if you're sitting there looking at yesterday's silver drop and you're seeing silver dropping today, and you're thinking, well, I'm just going to wait and see. This is priced in a way that if silver drops tomorrow, you're still ahead. If silver goes sideways, you're really ahead, and if silver goes up tomorrow, you're just lights out winning. Now, Joe and I are going to sit on these silver eagles and watch them drop through the weekend, so they'll be gone. We will sell more tomorrow if need be, but sometimes we get a monster that comes in here and just buys it all up when it's at this price. So this is one of those things.
Let me just tell you right now, I can turn around, sell it to the wholesaler right now, and get $630 a roll for it right now. So right. You're going to be buying it essentially for less than the wholesalers can buy it. So that just gives you a great indication of the value. And to Jason's point, we're not going to hold these through the weekend. So you've got a little bit here. 800-951-0592. But Jamie Dimon wasn't done. Asked about the prospects and timing for a rate reduction. Dimon said, well, the market's expectations are pretty good that it's going to happen. That's not always right. He said, the world said inflation was going to stay at 2% all the time, right? Thank you, Ben Bernanke and Janet Yellen. You guys, they're so proud of themselves. Then it said it would go to 6%. Then they said it would go to 4%. It's been 100% wrong almost every single time. Why in the world would anybody think it's right this time? Amen to that. Amen to that. I mean, let's face it. If all of us had jobs, real jobs, if these guys had real jobs, they'd be fired. Right? You're going out, the boss is saying, hey, give us the projections here. And they're wrong. Not only are they wrong, Jason, they really haven't been close, have they?
No, everybody just wants it their way. Just because you want it doesn't mean you get what you want. I mean, I don't really have any sympathy for the Federal Reserve and the choices they make, but there's got to be a little bit of stress there when the markets are calling them up all day long, telling them what they want, right, Joe? Right. Everybody's exerting everyone's exerting their influence as hard as they can to get what they want, and it's not going to happen the way everybody wants, Joe. For the markets to gain in any level on any level at any time, somebody has to lose. That is just the way it works. And in situations like we're in now, there's a lot more losing than our winners, Joe.
Yeah, and that's really the hardest thing about all of this when we're sitting here looking at this. When we get back, new home sales, not good. More problems at Boeing. Yeah, God, does it ever end there? And then McDonald's franchises freaking out about the $5 meal, saying, hey, parent corporation, how much money are you going to pay us to make up for the amount of losses we're going to take? And then jobless claim. Yeah, it was Thursday. They did come in. I'll tell you what they were when we get back. 800-951-0592. We actually have two lines open. I don't know how. We should have no lines open right now. No time to waste. 1 ounce silver maple leaves. So far below cost. Not just below cost. I mean, retail here, cheap guys on silver maple leaves are probably, $725 a roll. $630 a roll If you buy 25 rolls or more, $625. I actually can get more dumping them onto the wholesaler than I can selling them to you. But this is what we do here. This is value. Where you think about what TD Securities was talking about yesterday. Are we going to see $50 silver in the next 10 weeks? They said possible. I don't know. I think we're going to be at least at 35 at a minimum, probably 37, 38, but that's what happened the last time. I mean, think about the opportunity you would have then. 800-951-0592. Very quickly, NVIDIA came out. That's the big AI chip. AI. Well, guess what they said today? They had another great quarter. They did. They did. Right? They're part of the that group. I guess it's down to 6, the Magnificent Six, because Tesla's out. But you know what they said they're selling? Data warehousing chips. 400% increase in data warehousing chips. What would they be using data warehousing chips for? Why do they need so many? That's not AI. Oh, wait. What are we going to need, Jason, when the digital currency comes? What do they need? Data warehousing capabilities, and this is really, Jason, that was probably the scariest thing I saw all day today. It wasn't the Fed minutes from yesterday. It wasn't the fact that another whistleblower saying 300 Boeing planes are at risk to exploding fuel tanks. No, that wasn't that scary. It wasn't the crappy new home sales that was scary. It was, Jason, they're getting ready. They know it's coming, and it's coming a lot faster than people think.
Right, and for somebody who's listening that doesn't understand why you need the chips, just think of either a totally cashless society or a very much, let's say, 90% of what cash is left is eliminated. And when you go to the garage sale this summer, hey, I know the ladies have to go to the garage sales. Well, you're going to have a card, and the person selling to you is going to have a card because you're going to be doing a digital exchange. It's not going to be the simple, here's $10, I bought a lamp. It's going to be, here's my card, let's bump on your card, and then I'll type in $10. Everyone has, most people have some sort of digital cash experience going on, whether it's your debit card, your credit card. How many people have the automatic withdrawals of their bills that come right out of their accounts? It's going to be like that, and you have to have a lot of chips, Joe. I mean, I remember a long time ago, way back in maybe in the 80s, maybe the early 90s, my brother and our friends, we used to play role-playing games, and one of them was called Shadowrun. And there's this futuristic society, I won't go into detail, but everybody had a cred stick. Way back in the late 80s, early 90s, the cred stick. There was no cash.
Yep.
You plugged into the other guy's cred stick, you typed a number in, and voila, that was the money. So when you had to pass money, it was on your cred stick, and somebody's going to make money making the cred sticks, is what you're saying, Joe.
We just had a line open up. 800-951-0592. If you get the voicemail, you can leave a voicemail. But I'd encourage you to try to keep calling back. But we will check them when things slow down. But this is an extraordinary sale here on 1 ounce Canadian maple leafs. $630 for the roll. You buy 25 rolls or more, $625. Just to give you an idea, one roll, that's $31.50. We were at $31.50 yesterday. Matter of fact, we were at $32.50 2 days ago. And it's going to go back there at a lot higher than that. 25 rolls or more, you're all the way down to $31.25. You're talking like $1.25, $1.30 below cost. I mean, that's just fantastic. 800-951-0592. We just got it. Okay, we filled up. Now the line just opened up again. New home sales. Down and down hard, down 5%. By the way, all previous months were revised lower. New home sales are now down 7.7% on the year. And here's what's interesting. Pricing record highs. Inventory now of unsold new homes is approaching record highs. Interesting, isn't it? By the way, the average annual rate now down to 634. That was basically where we were 8 years ago. So now some of the bloom may be coming off the rose with these prices. Let's face it, prices are so high with mortgage rates at 7.5%. James, people, and I know with the new homes, at least with the new homes, they'll buy down your rate, right? You can get it at maybe 5.5 or 5, but even that, Jason, it just the math isn't working.
With the Fed talking rate hike, I wonder if some mortgage companies are bumping those rates a quarter point today, right? I mean, they're making it a little more expensive, right?
Well, look at the 10-year note, right back to 4.5, right? Yeah, it's definitely that. And by the way, jobless claims, 215, almost back now to the 210. Yeah, sure, okay. All these companies filing for bankruptcy, shutting stores, yeah, 215, sure. 800-951-0592. A couple of lines just opened up. Jump in there, get them put away. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Silver continuing to come back here. Down 75 cents now, 30.55. So this deal just keeps getting
deal gets better.
Right?
Joe, let me say this: this customer that's selling this, they're not in my possession at this exact moment. They're in transit. They're being driven here from South Dakota. I don't have the exact reason Joe can't describe it because I don't physically have them, but I know that they're coming in 8 cases. I believe, but we don't know that I know several of the cases are sealed cases. So when you buy a case of these, most likely we're going to get you a sealed case. We believe they're 2023s, but until the customer gets them here, we don't have all the information. But we know we have 4,000 ounces. We know we have them in the rolls. We know we have 8 cases. Most likely they're going to be sealed cases. And Joe, it's a great way to buy. What a great way to get silver. Plus, you're going to be helping this customer out. When you're the customer that has to bring us the 8 cases, this is what we do for you. So this is why you buy from us, Joe.
Yeah, and then we retail out, she gets more money. Everybody wins. This is a great scenario. Unfortunately for her, this is happening a lot. One of her parents needs to be put into a facility, and they need money because they want to put them in a nice place, and this is what they're going to be using the proceeds to do. So Canadian Maple Leafs here, gosh, just way below cost now. 630 for 20. You buy 500 of them down to $625, so $31.50. If you're buying it, 20 at a time. If you buy 500 at a time, 31.25 at 800-951-0592. Terrible news out of Boeing today. Cash flow will be worse in Q2 than it was in Q1. I think they burned like $3 billion, saying that China now is starting to push back on Boeing planes. And their news had broken. The Daily Mail say that another fleet of Boeing jets have another disastrous flaw, saying the 777, the 777, poor electrical insulation near its fuel tanks can cause fire or explosion. Apparently, the FAA was concerned about it all the way back in March and set a deadline for May 9th for Boeing to respond, and it doesn't look like that's happened. Wow. How does this happen? How does a great company like Boeing seemingly forget how to build airplanes, Jason? This is what happens when you focused on all this, DEI and everything else that really doesn't matter. Companies losing their way, and it just seems like every month the news it doesn't stop. I don't care how many whistleblowers die. Apparently, there's a bunch more lining up.
Oh boy, Well, I guess you need airplanes, I guess, but if they start falling out of the sky, I think sales will drop at that point. Do you remember just a couple of decades ago, especially just pre-2000s, it was about once every year or 2 years there'd be some plane crash. Remember? So it seems like they've done a good job. We don't see these plane crashes anymore, but I don't know. We got the return of inflation from the 70s and 80s. Maybe we're going to get the return of the plane crashes they used to have.
800-951-0592. I got 2 lines open here. $630 on a roll of Maple Leafs. 25 rolls or more, 500 or more. $625